What's going on? I'm Cody. Welcome to Anything for Reaction. The big news I want to talk about today is what's next for Google Stadia in 2020. So Google Stadia is a megacorp service to stream playable games. I mean, they rolled it out, and I think we were all like super excited, like what's Google going to do with like the gaming industry. I think we all had like anticipation of like this was going to be really exciting. And like I think Google right now is a small fish in a big pond right now, especially with Microsoft with the xCloud. We have Nvidia GeForce now and Sony PlayStation now. Those are some heavy hitters right there. So right off the bat, Google is like contending with all these brands. So with all the hype and everything that they announced, like when the product came out, I think a lot of us were like, what is going on? What is Google doing? I think a lot of people didn't even like get like their game controllers. They didn't get anything. Like they didn't even get anything. So they couldn't even play the games. And it took like a little while for like people to get like the actual product, even if they pre-ordered it. I think they had like a founders edition pack, and some of those people didn't even get it. So that was really interesting right from the jump to see like, okay, we're not starting out on the best foot. But also, for instance, Stadia only works over Wi-Fi now. Like the most of the games like they have, you can't even like play them with like any like LTE or data services because the games just can't handle it because they're too powerful and too much for like LTE and like gaming. So right off the bat, like that's really interesting. So you have to be on Wi-Fi, especially if you want to get like the 4K features, which is something that Google touted and Stadia touted as like what the main thing was, is you can stream these games in 4K. So that that's really interesting as well. So I mean, again, it wasn't a good start, but I'm like interested to see what 2020 is going to provide. And also the cost of these is something that I found like really shocking. It has since evolved into like $129 for the Premier Edition. I mean, that's not too much, but I mean, taking consideration, you can still buy like a 3DS, I think, for like $199. But it does come with like a controller, which actually looks really nice and it feels really good. So I think the controller is really good from what I've heard. But yeah, and they have like a subscription service, but you still have to like pay for the game. So that's something that I found like really shocking. You have to pay just to stream it, and you still have to pay for the game. That is something that I found like really interesting. So I mean, like at the moment, Stadia Game Store is walled off behind a login that you can only get with a Premier Edition account. Games are available from Google. The game prices are typically the publisher prices and sold through Google, so it's basically right up front, like the same amount, like if you were to buy it like MSRP. So it's basically the same exact price, which I found absolutely crazy. Like you have to, if you want to stream these, you can't even stream them off LTE. You have to be on Wi-Fi, and then you have to pay for the games. Like that is just like something that just like really surprises me, and I think it's just so crazy, especially when like the Stadia requirements are, in its current state, you can officially play Stadia games on select Android phones, such as Pixel 2. So it's basically all Pixel phones, with iPhones and iPads, TVs, basically any way you would play like anything else. So I think that's really interesting. And also, Google has expanded its controller support beyond its Stadia controller. The current game lineup is Destiny 2, The Collection, Kind, Guilt, Red Dead Redemption 2, which I think would be like really interesting to see how that plays on there. I think that would be like a really good test of the system. Thumper, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Mortal Kombat 11, which is an absolutely phenomenal game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Just Dance 2020, that's a little random, Samurai Showdown, Borderlands 3, Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle, Darksiders Genesis, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Farming Simulator. Like, what are these? What are some of these games, man? Final Fantasy 15, Football Manager 2020, NBA 2K20, Grid, Rage 2, Metro Exodus, Ghost Recon, Breakpoint, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Trial Rising. I mean, all these are like, some of them are like pretty good games. It's just like all like, it's already games like we should already have, though. Like there's no like first party games on here, which I think is absolutely interesting. Like I this, but I'm really excited about the upcoming games. So the upcoming games are Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 3, Doom Eternal, Marvel's Avengers, Cyberpunk 2077, which I am absolutely super excited about. I mean, it did get delayed recently, but I mean, I think that's perfectly fine. If this video game looks as good as they're touting, I'm super excited to see what Cyberpunk 2077 is going to provide, because that game looks absolutely stellar. The Elder Scrolls Online, which is going to be amazing. Watch Dogs, Legion, Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So I'm super excited about those games. And so let's go on what's next for Google Stadia. I think this is what's going to be really interesting, especially for 2020. The Google Stadia team laid out plans for the first 3 months of 2020 on January 16th. Along with more features rolling out, the team expects 120 games to be released this year. Here are the features promises to arrive next. So what we should expect is expanded capabilities for gaming via Stadia.com, including 4K support, Google Assistant improvements, and wireless gameplay with the Stadia controller, support for more Android phones. So it sounds super exciting, but also I'm super skeptical about Google Stadia, man. I mean, like I was saying this whole time, when it first started coming out, I think everybody was excited to see what Google was gonna do. But I think now the more information and the more news we've gotten on this, I think the less hype that we have for it. I mean, I think it's still interesting, but I think it's still a little early for streaming games to be a thing. I think when people were thinking of Stadia, they were like, okay, we're going to pay a monthly fee. We're going to get all these games, sort of like Game Pass with Xbox. I think that's sort of what people were expecting, except we were probably thinking oh, we're going to get all these high quality games and Google's going to provide that. But that's not what we got. We got a subscription service just to stream games. And then on top of that, we have to purchase games, which I think is really interesting. It's a really unique concept to go off of. I don't know if I don't know if the model works. I mean, I still think it's really early for video game streaming, but I think there is a market for this. I really do, but I mean, it's really interesting. I think I'm really excited about this. But Google Stadia, I don't know if this, I don't know, man. I've heard a lot of mixed reactions. I've heard even in people that have excellent internet, they're still getting lag on the games, which I think is absolutely crazy. And also to pay that subscription and the upfront fee for basically just a controller and a subscription service. I don't know, man, but I think it's going to be really interesting. And I'm really skeptical, but sort of intrigued about the Google Stadia future and also what they're going to provide in 2020. What do you guys think about Google Stadia 2020 plans and also the new games they've announced? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also click that bell to turn notifications. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this video. As always, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow with another awesome, unique, interesting video. Later, guys.